Welcome to Living Your Senior Life, the podcast where we tackle the real challenges of aging with practical advice you can actually use. We're Mark and Debbie, and today we're diving into something that affects millions of seniors but doesn't get talked about enough: sleep problems. If you're tired of tossing and turning, waking up multiple times during the night, or feeling exhausted even after a full night in bed, you're not alone. Today, we're exploring the common causes of sleep disturbances in seniors, the symptoms you should pay attention to, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. We'll talk about everything from lifestyle changes to when it's time to see a doctor and what treatment options might help. Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional, and nothing in this podcast should be considered medical advice. Sleep problems can sometimes signal serious health conditions, so if you're experiencing persistent sleep issues, please consult with your healthcare provider. What we're sharing today is educational information to help you have informed conversations with your doctor and explore options that might work for your individual situation. So get comfortable and let's dive in and talk about getting the restful sleep you deserve.
You know, there is this pervasive, almost silent agreement among people once they hit a certain age. It's like a collective resignation. You're at a dinner party, the wine is flowing, and someone mentions they were up at 3 a.m., just staring at the ceiling. And instead of shock or concern, everyone just nods.
They just nod and say, yep, welcome to the club.
Exactly. Well, we're not 20 anymore. It's treated as this inevitable thing, like gray hair or needing reading glasses.
It's the classic, I'm getting older, therefore I must be tired narrative.
But today, we are going to challenge that. We're doing a deep dive into an article from Living Your Senior Life called Common Sleep Problems After 50 and How to Improve Your Rest. And looking at this, our mission today seems really clear. Debunk the myth that bad sleep is just normal aging and actually pull out the science on how to fix it. Because frankly, I'm tired of being tired.
And that is such a critical distinction to make right at the start. Because while our biology does change, and we are absolutely going to get into the nuts and bolts of that, suffering through the night is not a requirement of getting older.
So it's not a life sentence.
Not at all.
Yep.
What I really like about this source material is that it covers the what and the why, but it leans heavily into the how, the practical stuff. It's not just telling you the problem, it's handing you a toolkit.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I think a lot of us feel the change, but we don't really get the mechanics. We just know that hitting 50 suddenly makes a good night's sleep feel like a competitive sport we're losing. Why is this happening?
Well, it's not that the equipment is breaking down, exactly, but the operating system is. Let's say it's updating, and not always for the better. The source points to a few key physiological shifts. The first one is about sleep architecture.
Sleep architecture, that sounds fancy.
It's a great term, isn't it? It's basically just how your sleep is built throughout the night. As we age, we naturally spend more time in the lighter stages of sleep.
And less time in that deep, restorative, slow wave sleep.
Precisely. So practically speaking, think of your brain's sensory filter like a bouncer at a nightclub.
Okay.
When you're 20, that bouncer is huge. He stops everything. Noise, light, a car backfiring, you sleep right through it. But as we get older, that bouncer, he gets a little tired.
He starts letting things slip past the velvet rope.
He does. A dog barking 3 houses away that you wouldn't have heard a decade ago. Now it bypasses the bouncer, triggers your alert system, and boom.
You're wide awake.
You're wide awake. Older adults just become way more sensitive to noise, to light, to temperature changes.
That explains so much. I used to sleep through thunderstorms. Now, if the furnace just clicks on, I'm alert. But the article also mentions a chemical shift, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the bouncer, it's the fuel.
Right. And this is the melatonin issue. We simply produce less melatonin as we get older.
And melatonin is the hormone that tells our body it's nighttime.
It's the, okay, sun is down, time to shut off signal. As that production drops, the signal to stay asleep gets weaker. And that leads to those frequent, fragmented awakenings.
And there was another term in the research that I found really interesting, the advanced sleep phase. It sounds like a sci-fi program.
It does, doesn't it? But it explains a very specific thing that I think a lot of listeners will recognize. It's a circadian rhythm shift.
What does that mean exactly?
It means your internal body clock, it literally shifts forward. So this is why many older adults find themselves getting incredibly sleepy really early in the evening, say 7:30 or 8 p.m.
And then they're wide awake at 4 in the morning.
Wide awake, ready to start the day. It's like having permanent jet lag, but you haven't gone anywhere. Your body is convinced that 7 p.m. is midnight.
Which is great if you're a dairy farmer, but maybe not so great if you want to have a social life.
Exactly. You're fighting to stay awake for dinner with friends, you crash, and then your internal alarm goes off at 3:30 a.m.
Which can be incredibly isolating.
It is. The source calls it social jet lag.
Yeah.
And what's interesting here is that this advanced sleep phase, it isn't inherently harmful physiologically. It's not a disease.
It's just a shift.
It's just a shift. But it becomes a problem when it clashes with your life. If you're happy waking up at 4 a.m. to write a novel, great.
Yeah.
If you're staring at the wall wishing it was 7 a.m., that's when it's a problem.
Okay, so that's a shift. But the article transitions pretty quickly from these, natural changes to actual disorders, the stuff that needs attention. And the first one is the big one, insomnia.
Right.
But I feel like everyone claims they have insomnia. Oh, I only slept 6 hours. What does the source actually count as clinical insomnia?
Yeah, we need to broaden our definition. Most people think it's just trouble falling asleep, lying there staring at the clock.
Onset insomnia.
Right. But the source defines it as difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or, and this part is key, waking up way too early and not being able to drift back off.
Or just feeling exhausted even though you were in bed for 8 hours.
Exactly. Non-restorative sleep. If you wake up feeling like you just run a marathon, that counts. And what's fascinating are the hidden contributors, the article lists. We always blame stress, which is valid, but there are physical triggers.
Like what?
Things like chronic pain arthritis acting up at night, or side effects from medications. That's a huge one.
You take a pill for your heart and suddenly you can't sleep.
Correct. Some beta blockers, for example, can suppress melatonin. Diuretics make you wake up to use the bathroom. And, spoiler alert, daytime napping. That plays a huge role in perpetuating insomnia.
We are definitely coming back to napping because I have strong feelings and I need you to validate them. But first, the second big disorder, because this one sounds much more dangerous, sleep apnea.
It is the silent risk. Absolutely. Sleep apnea is a condition where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts while you sleep.
So you're literally pausing your breathing.
For seconds, sometimes longer. These pauses drop your oxygen levels, and your body has to kind of micro-wake you up to gasp for air. The source is very clear. This is a critical health issue.
It's linked to other things.
Big things. Heart problems, stroke, high blood pressure.
And since you might not even know you're doing it, what are the red flags? Besides, a partner telling you that you sound like a dying freight train.
Well, the snoring is the big one. Loud, rhythmic snoring. But it's not just noise. It's the pattern. Look for gasping or choking sounds. A moment of silence and then a snort.
That's the body fighting for air.
Exactly. And here's a specific detail from the source I think is really helpful. Look for morning headaches.
Morning headaches, really? I just assume that's dehydration.
It can be. But if you're waking up frequently with a headache and you have trouble concentrating during the day, that can be a big sign of oxygen deprivation during the night. It's a carbon dioxide buildup, basically.
Wow. Okay, that is a very specific symptom to watch for. Now, the third one is restless leg syndrome, RLS.
It is very real, and for people who have it, it is incredibly visceral. The source describes it as crawling, tingling, pulling, even aching sensations deep in the legs.
My grandmother used to call it the Jimmy legs. She just felt like she had to get up and walk it off.
Your grandmother was right. Annoying is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
For sufferers, it can be torture.
Yeah.
And movement is the only thing that relieves it. That's the real nuance of RLS. The symptoms get worse at night when you're trying to lie still.
So your brain wants to sleep, but your legs are demanding to go for a run.
It's a physiological battle.
Yeah.
And the article also notes a link to low iron levels. So it's not just, nerves. There could be a nutritional piece to it.
Okay, so we have biology working against us. We have these potential disorders. But let me play devil's advocate. Let's say I'm 65, I'm retired. I don't have to clock in at 9 a.m. I wake up a bunch, I'm a little groggy, maybe I nap. So what? Why does this matter so much?
That is the so what question. And it's crucial. We tend to think of sleep as just energy. We think, I'll just power through with coffee. But the source is really aggressive on this point. The impact is systemic. It lists cognitive decline, memory slips, brain fog, the kind of stuff people worry is dementia, but is actually just exhaustion. But it goes darker than that.
How so?
It goes to physical safety.
You mean like falling asleep at the wheel?
That, yes. But even more fundamentally, the source links poor sleep directly to balance issues and a significantly higher risk of falls in the home.
Oh, wow. I hadn't made that connection. You're tired, your reaction time is slow.
Your balance is off. And we all know that for a senior, a fall can be life-altering. It's the domino that tips over independence. Then you add in compromised immune health, heart health. It all connects.
It's a feedback loop.
It's a total feedback loop. Good sleep means you feel like being active. Being active helps you sleep better. Poor sleep makes you sedentary, which makes your health decline, which makes you sleep worse.
Okay, we're sufficiently scared now. Let's pivot to the good news. The toolkit. The source says this isn't hopeless. Let's get into the details because people always just say sleep hygiene and move on.
Right. And sleep hygiene sounds so simple, but it's really about environmental engineering and behavioral psychology. Let's start with the environment.
The article references CDC tips. We basically need to turn our bedrooms into a cave.
Pretty much. Cool, dark, and quiet.
Okay, cool. Is a battleground in my house. What does the science say?
The science backs the meat locker, I'm afraid. Our body temperature has to drop to initiate sleep. If the room is too warm, that physiological trigger gets confused. The source suggests keeping it between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit.
Vindication. I love it. Okay, what about light?
Light is the enemy of the tired bouncer we talked about. So, specific tools. Blackout curtains are non-negotiable if you have streetlights. Or even just a high-quality eye mask.
I recently got blackout curtains. Game changer. But what about noise?
That's where white noise comes in. A fan, a sound machine. It's not just about making a soothing sound. It's about masking the spikes in volume that wake you up. It raises the baseline noise level so that sudden clunk isn't as jarring.
Okay, so we've engineered the cave, but the harder part is the routine, the behavior. The article talks about a wind-down window, and honestly, this is where I struggle. Just relax is easier said than done.
It is. You can't go from 60 to 0 in 5 seconds. Your body needs a transition. The suggestion is to start winding down 30 to 60 minutes before you want to be asleep.
So practically, what does that look like? Because if I'm stressing about a bill, gentle stretching feels a bit insufficient.
That's a fair point. The key is to do things that are actively relaxing, not passively distracting. The DAWs are things like reading a book, a paper book, not a screen gentle stretching, a warm bath. The goal is to bore your brain a little bit.
Bore the brain. I like that. So what are the don'ts?
Well, screens are the obvious one. Blue light kills melatonin. But also stressful conversations.
So no debating politics with your spouse at 10:30 t.m.
Definitely not. Save the arguments for breakfast. But I want to highlight one specific don't that usually gets the most pushback: alcohol.
Oh, here we go. The nightcap. You're telling me that glass of red wine, which, let's be honest, is the highlight of the day for some people, is the villain.
It's a tricky villain.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you fall asleep, I'll give you that. It's a sedative. But the source is adamant about this. Alcohol destroys the quality of your sleep later in the night.
Oh.
It's the rebound effect. As your body metabolizes the alcohol, it clears from your system. When it wears off, usually about 3 or 4 hours later, your body gets a withdrawal spike. Your nervous system revs up.
So you pass out at 11 p.m.
And you're wide awake at 2 a.m., heart beating a little faster, dehydrated, needing to use the bathroom, and you can't get back into deep sleep.
It's a short-term gain for a long-term loss.
Precisely. It fragments the entire second half of your night. The nightcap right before bed is the real danger zone.
Okay, that's depressing, but it makes sense. Now we have to address the napping rule. You hinted that this was a problem, but I love a good nap.
And you can have one. The source clarifies it's not no naps, it's smart naps.
Okay, what's a smart nap?
Short naps. We're talking 20 to 30 minutes max. And early in the afternoon. That's the power nap, and it can be really refreshing.
So what's the danger?
The bad nap.
The danger is what sleep scientists call sleep hunger. Think of your drive to sleep like an appetite. You build it up all day. If you take a 2-hour nap at 4 p.m., that's like eating a huge meal right before dinner.
You won't be hungry later.
Exactly. You get to 10 p.m., you hit the pillow, and your brain says, I'm not hungry, I already ate. And that is a classic cause of insomnia.
So keep it short, keep it early. Got it. Now, let's say we've done all this. We have the cave, we've stopped the nightcaps, we're timing our naps. But it's still not working. At what point do we wave the white flag and call a doctor?
People hesitate, they think it's trivial. But the source gives us very specific thresholds. You should see a professional if your sleep problems are happening most nights.
Most nights. Okay, that's a clear bar.
Or if the issues have lasted more than a few weeks, that tells you it's chronic, not just a bad patch.
And I'm guessing any safety issues are a red flag. A huge red flag. That choking or gasping sound we mentioned for apnea. Or excessive daytime sleepiness if you're nodding off while driving or even just sitting still. That is a medical emergency. Also, unusual behaviors like acting out dreams, kicking, punching. That can be a sign of a REM sleep disorder.
And when you go to the doctor, what happens? Do they just hand you a sleeping pill?
A good doctor won't, not as a first resort. They might ask you to keep a sleep diary.
Like, dear diary, I couldn't sleep.
It sounds simple, but it's data. Tracking when you go to bed, when you wake up, what you ate, it helps the doctor see a pattern. Or, in more serious cases, they'll order a sleep study to see exactly what your brain and breathing are doing all night.
It's rigorous. It's not just guesswork.
Right. And that leads to targeted treatments, like CBTI for insomnia or CPAP for apnea. The point is, there are real solutions that fix the root cause, not just mask the symptom.
That feels like the main message here. You aren't helpless. Whether it's a simple habit change, like fixing that napping schedule or treating something like apnea, improvement is actually possible.
It is. And if we connect this back to where we started, that resignation, the source really challenges us to reframe how we view sleep entirely.
How so?
We tend to see sleep as just rest, a luxury. I'll sleep when I'm dead. But the source positions it as a pillar of safety for preventing falls, of emotional regulation. It's what keeps your heart healthy and your immune system strong.
It's as important as diet and exercise.
It absolutely is. So here's a final thought for you to mull over. We track our steps, we watch our cholesterol, we count calories. If we treated sleep with that same importance, if we scheduled it and protected it with that same intensity, how would our daily lives and our health actually change?
That is a great question. Maybe it's time to stop treating sleep like the thing we do with the time we have left over and start treating it like the main event.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, I'm definitely rethinking my nightcap tonight. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Fight for your rest, everyone.
Sleep well.
See you next time.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We hope this information has given you some practical insights and maybe even a few solutions to try. Remember, quality sleep isn't a luxury. It's essential for your health, mood, and overall quality of life. If you're struggling with persistent sleep issues, don't just accept it as a normal part of aging. Talk to your doctor and advocate for the restful nights you deserve. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss upcoming episodes. And if you have a friend or family member who might benefit from these tips, please share this podcast with them. If you're looking for more resources on senior health, wellness, and lifestyle, head over to livingyourSeniorLife.com, where you'll find articles, product recommendations, and helpful guides for making your senior years your best years. Until next time, take care of yourself, sleep well, and live your best senior life.